Okay, hello. In this lesson, we will be looking at graphs and determining where they are increasing, decreasing, or constant. We will also be looking at where the graphs are positive or negative. And then we'll be doing that by hand. And then we'll be looking at the exact same skills by, starting with the calculator. All right. Basically, it's all the same thing. It's all by hand, but the only difference in these two types of problems is I'll give you a graph versus I'll give you a graph here versus I'll give you just an equation that you have to graph yourself right there. Okay, so we're just going to look right at problems. We're just going to knock some out. So here we go. So when I'm determining whether they're increasing, decreasing, or constant, I'm thinking about it's like a roller coaster. All right. So is it going up? Is it going down? Or is it level? Now, just for our sake, I'm going to divide this graph into a couple parts. Okay, there's that part to the left of this line, the part to the right. Also, over here on this side, there's another division right here. Okay, now let's go ahead and make some lines at the beginning of this and at the end of this section. Same thing here and here. Now, this graph, we can look at it and we can say, if this were a roller coaster and we were riding on the roller coaster from left to right, it's going up right here in this section. So this section right here, the graph is increasing. Is there another section of the graph where it's increasing? How about like right here? From left to right, you see the graph going up. Okay? Now, likewise, where's the roller coaster going down? Where is it decreasing? It's going down right here in this section, and it's going down also in this section. All right? So, this was -4, this is -2, this is -1, right here. +2, +3, and +5. Alright? So it's increasing here, it's decreasing here, it's increasing here, and it's decreasing here. Real simple. Yes? Oh, excuse me, I am turned around. It is decreasing here and increasing here. Alright? So, also notice that right here there's a solid part of the line. This line is solid, or the curve is solid right there, and it's got an open circle here. It's solid here, and it's also solid here. Alright? Now, we're going to use this information to write down our intervals of increasing or decreasing, or where it's constant. All right. Okay, so the roller coaster, it's increasing on the interval -4 to -2. And I use a bracket. I really don't care what's happening on the interval anyway, like or on the endpoint. I really don't care whether this is a bracket or parentheses, because that actual endpoint doesn't matter to me. Okay, So I'm just going to tell you right now, on this skill, I don't care what you use for your intervals, whether you use a bracket here or parentheses. It doesn't matter. Okay, I don't care about it. Now, what I do care about is the fact that it's increasing both here and here. So from -4 to -2, and also from 3 until 5. So you're going to union that section with the 3 to the 5. Okay? So it's increasing on those two intervals unioned together. Where's the graph decreasing? From -2 to -1. Once again, I don't care about whether you use brackets or parentheses. Doesn't matter. Union with 3 to 5. Nope, let me try that again. Union with 2 to 3. Okay? Is this graph, is this roller coaster ever flat?
No.
No. So, not applicable. Got it? Okay, so you got the concept of whether the graph's going up, going down, or level, and how to write it in your answer. Okay, now the next skill here is to determine where is the graph positive and where is it negative. So, for our sake, what I'm going to do is use a different highlighter and highlight the sections where the graph is above the x-axis or below the x-axis. I may actually, let me start with just highlighting this line here, the x-axis. Okay? So wherever you see the graph above this line, it's positive. Wherever you see it below this line, it's negative. Okay? So I see a negative section right here. And I also see negative right here. Where is it positive? It seems to be positive. Right here. It's right here. So how do we write this? What we will say is the graph is positive on, hello, come on. On these intervals right here. So if I can take this graph and I can, let me do it this way. Positive, negative. Let's do it like this. If I could take this graph right here and I could squish it, I could just flatten it right onto the x-axis. All of this section of the graph came from the positive area, right? Came from above the x-axis. Likewise, all this would be positive. That entire section, if I flattened it onto the x-axis, squish, all right? This little section goes right there. It lands on the x-axis. Now, if I took this section over here and I squished it onto the x-axis, it would land right there, right? Likewise, if I took this section right here and I flattened it onto the x-axis, it lands right there. Okay, so then let's answer this question. Where is the graph positive? Well, it's all of the x values from here.
Did you -4 to -1?
Say again.
-4 to -1?
Well, so in this case, we're actually going to use different intervals. We're going to use this interval here. From here to here, it would be -4 to, let's say, -3.8. And then from right here to here, this is going to be -1. And right here, this is going to be +2 all the way over to there. So this would be about, let's say, 4.5. And this is 5. So I think as you're doing these problems in the future, it may be helpful to highlight the positive, the increasing and decreasing up here, and label it increasing, decreasing, and then do your positive and negative stuff down here. I'll show you on the next example just to clarify that. Just so you have everything kind of listed on one graph, it'll make it a little bit easier. So let me highlight it here. Okay, so here I was concerned with positive, increasing, or constant. And here I'm interested in whether it's positive or negative. Okay? So, where is this graph positive? It's positive on the interval from 3.8 to -1. -3.8 to -1. And we're going to union that with this other section over here on the right,
That's negative.
4.5 to +5. -3.8 to -1.
But that's not a pod, that's a negative.
When we say positive, we're saying above the x-axis. And when we say negative, we're saying below the x-axis. We'll do a couple more of these and you'll get the hang of it. So where's the other section where this graph is positive? Well, it's above the x-axis right here, right? On the far right, you see it. So what are the x values right over here? About 4.5 to +5, right? So my answers that go here are interested only in the x values. X values needed only. Okay? I don't care how high the graph goes up or how low it goes. I don't care about any of that. All I care about is the x values, where the graph is below the x-axis or above the x-axis. Okay, so where is this graph below the x-axis? And I highlighted it here in red. You can see it. So that would be, what's the interval?
Negative 4 and negative 3.7.
Yeah, -4 to, we'll just say -3.8. And we're going to union that with the other section where it's below the x-axis, and that would be from 2 to positive 4.5. Okay, so there's two major concepts here: increasing, decreasing, going up, going down, versus the other concept, which is where is the graph positive and where is it negative? Where is it above the x-axis, or is it below? Okay, so those were the answers for this first problem. We're going to do a couple more. Let's look at the next problem. Let's deal with increasing, decreasing. Constant first. So I'm going to break this graph into pieces. Increasing, decreasing, constant. So the graph seems to be increasing from -2 from -infinity to -2. So there's this section. And then it begins going down, right? It goes down up until this point, so I'm going to take that and divide it up here. So I can see that the graph on this section is increasing. On this section, the graph is decreasing. And on this section, it is increasing. Does it make sense? You know, if the color helps a little bit, then you can see the graph increasing. On this section, you see the graph increasing on this section. You see it decreasing on the middle section. Now, let's go ahead and write these answers down. Where is it increasing? Where does it start? Where does this graph, if you look on the far left, where does it start increasing? Okay, somebody says maybe -6 over here. Okay, -5. Should we start since the grid starts there? Where does the graph start increasing?
You don't know.
I don't know. You're right. So whenever the graph goes off of the grid that I provide you, you are to assume that there's an arrow here, that it goes forever in that direction. That's true in both of these cases. So it does not, the graph does not start increasing at -6. Instead, it really starts increasing at -infinity. -infinity, and it's so we're riding up the road. It doesn't matter. None of this, I don't care brackets or parentheses, but anyway, so if I'm riding up this roller coaster, I'm riding until we get to the x value what? Yeah, -2. That's the x value right here. And then from -2, well, I'll go ahead and write -2 right here. Okay. Now there's another section here where it's increasing, so I'm going to put a union symbol. What's the x value right here on this this next piece? 4. So the graph increases from what until what?
4 until infinity.
4 comma infinity. So you could even put a negative infinity right here and a positive infinity right here, because that's the graph goes to those, like in those directions. Does that make sense? So those are the values that we use for increasing. Now, what about decreasing? From what until what?
-2
-2
until 4.
to 4. The graph is decreasing. Is this graph ever level? Is it constant?
No.
Nope. So this is not applicable in this problem. All right, now I'm interested in where is the graph positive or where is it negative? Okay, so I see a couple sections here. Like this graph is definitely below the x-axis here, like the graph is below the x-axis here. Right? Where else is the graph below the x-axis? Where is the graph above the x-axis? Okay. So here it's below. Here it's above. Here it's below. Here it's above the x-axis. All right, so what are these values here? Well, we're going to say negative infinity over here on this side. And what's the dividing line here? -4, of course. And what's the dividing line here? +2. And the dividing line here is 8. Okay? And then, of course, the graph keeps going upwards and upwards over here on the far right side towards positive infinity. Okay, so now, where is the graph? Let's just talk about where it's positive. Let's answer this question. Where's the graph positive? From -4 until +2. Unioned with, there's another section here where it's positive. From 8 until positive infinity. Where is the graph negative? Where is it below the x-axis? So it's below from negative infinity to -4, unioned with the other section where it's negative. And where is that? Positive 2 to positive 8. There's your answers. Okay. I'm thinking we can get in maybe another example here. Let's do one that's a little bit more tricky. I don't know if that's tricky enough. That's not too tricky. That's more tricky. Okay, so I did 1, 2. I'm going to leave you with this one to do for homework. I'm going to leave you with that one to do for homework. And I'm going to do this crazy, ugly one with you right now. Okay? So let's take a moment right here, right now, and give you a chance to go ahead and start kind of putting your answers together. So if you're watching the video, this would be a good time to pause it and then join us when you have tried it out, given an answer, and we will check it and see if it's right. Okay, so we're back, and we want to just go ahead and check this, see if we're on the right track. So this graph is increasing in some places, decreasing, constant. Let's look at it. Where is it increasing? I see it increasing here. I see it increasing here. I see it increasing actually here as well. And I see it increasing here. You guys agree with me on that? Mm-hmm. See the graph decreasing from here to here. And likewise from here to here. Those dividing lines are at -3, 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. Here it's decreasing, here it's increasing, decreasing, nothing there in that one, and it's increasing here. Understood?
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and answer our questions here. Where's the graph increasing? It's increasing from 0 to 2. Notice how it's increasing from 0, like the value, it's going up, and then it jumps really far, but it continues going up. See what I'm saying? So that's one interval where it's increasing. And that's going to be unioned with this other interval over here on the side, 6 to 8. And once again, I don't care about brackets or parentheses here. It doesn't concern us. I use brackets everywhere except for this spot personally, but this is not an issue that even matters. So decreasing, where's the graph decreasing? It's decreasing from -3 to 0, unioned with the other decreasing interval from +2 to +4. Is the graph ever flat, level? No. So it's not applicable. Where is the graph positive? Well, I see a little sliver right here where it's positive. And where else is it positive? I see a big sliver right here. And it's not exactly negative everywhere in between. It's negative from here to here. And then there's that gap because there's no graph there. Okay, so where is the graph positive? Well, let's look at these critical values here. -3 is the start, and we're going to estimate this little section here, that line, to be, let's say, -2.8. I could be off a little bit, but you get my point. And then right here, that's the value 4. Right here, the value is 6, and here it is 8. Okay, so positive. Where is the graph positive? It is positive from -3 to -2.8. Union with what other interval? 6 to 8. Where's the graph negative? From -2.8 to 4. Got it? Question?
If I were like, I separated mine, where the gap is, right, 0.6 off of that,
What do you mean you separated yours?
like instead of just having 2.8 and 4, I did 2.8 and 1 and 1 and 4.
Oh, so the question is, what if you created a separation here? You're talking about specifically for negative, it being negative?
Yeah, I mean just that one. I mean, I did it on.
You did it both here where it was increasing
Yeah.
and where it was negative
Yeah.
at this point, at this value 1. Okay, so a break here is not necessary in this particular problem because, for one, talking about it being negative, the graph doesn't switch. It doesn't, I mean, like, it's, even though there's a break in the graph, it continues to be negative, all from -2.8 to +4. Does that make sense? So, we don't need to create a break in the intervals here at 1 on the basis of it being negative. All right. Now, on the basis of it increasing, well, we can do this exact same thing. The graph begins increasing here at 0. It's going upwards. There is a break in the graph. However, right here where it makes this jump, it continues immediately without, hesitating. It's still continuing to increase. Does that make sense? So I don't need a break here at 1 at all for any reason, either here or down here. Increasing side or on the negative side. Okay, that's a good point. Good question. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this was all about increasing, decreasing, and constant intervals on a graph. You You can see it now, increasing, decreasing, constant intervals. I need you to be able to identify those intervals. Likewise, I need you to identify when a function is positive and when it's negative on the graph. Okay, so we've done this, and so by calculator, how is it any different? It's not really. You'll have to be able to find your maximums and minimum points or x-intercepts or whatever, but you have to find those points on the graph by the calculator and then use them to do exactly what we just did here. So currently my intention is not to have any specific videos for these two skills. It's basically to apply what you learned in Unit 4 Part A, maximums, x-intercepts, minimums, that stuff, and then apply that to these two skills right here that we just focused on. So anyway, increasing, decreasing, positive, negative intervals on the graph. Thanks for watching.